Okay. See, I'm very sorry. I'm not so much in the Skype. Well, actually, this is the first time I use Skype for presentation, using the different types of their like Teams and Zoom and others. Okay. So I hope now it works quite well. So there are three major types of cyber threats. That's a cybercrime, massive cybercrime, targeted attacks, as are very professional, highly professional attacks, and attacks on industrial systems, SCADA, the physical infrastructure, and Internet of Things. So first of all, the cybercrime. And the cybercrime it's a global problem. So every day we receive more than 400,000 new unique malicious applications every day, more than 400,000. Well, actually, before COVID time, this number was not as big. It was like 350,000 new malicious applications. So actually, the pandemic stimulated cybercrime, and they are much more active than before. But technically speaking, this is not their big problem for us to collect these malicious samples, to process them, and release the antidote, because most of the job, most of the tasks are made automatic. So we have automatic systems to collect new suspicious files. We have two processing centers now in Moscow and Zurich to run these malicious samples in simulators to check these similarities. If you know this, some other applications close, similar to this, to the new stuff. We have the face control, behavior control, the smell control, and many other systems to recognize are these files malicious or clean. So actually 99.999% of all the incoming files, and millions of files we collect every day, 99.999% it's processed automatically. So actually, technically speaking, it's not the big problem. By the way, if you're interested in more information about the systems, there at the bottom line of the slide, you see the URL, so you can follow this link to learn more information about the systems. So technically speaking, to process this kind of malicious applications, it's not a problem. Because they're mostly made by junior hackers, junior criminals, or middle-level criminals. So technically speaking, we can handle that. The problem is that many of these criminals, they're getting more experienced. They learn, they're able to create more and more complicated malicious applications, and they're able to attack even very well protected organizations like banks, governments. And they joined the hackers team, the criminal gangs, from the second category, the hackers and cyber criminals, which are able to develop the targeted attacks, so-called APT attacks. And this is the major problem, because these malicious tools, they're really complicated, and they can get through their even very well developed security. And at the moment, we are monitoring about 200 different groups. Many of them, most of them, they are state-sponsored espionage tools. So they're developed by different governments to spy on the victims. And about 10-15% of these groups, they're criminals. So they are hacking their enterprises, banks, governments to earn money or any kind of information. And actually, it's more complicated to protect from this kind of the attacks. The good question is who they are, who are the people which are behind these hackers attacks. And actually, it's very hard to attribute, but there are some pieces of the code which we can use it for attribution. In some cases, we can detect the language which the people behind this attack speak. We can see the time zones they operate in. Sometimes they do some mistakes which lead us to some other ideas about the origins of these malicious applications. So speaking about, and there are two different kinds of these tools. There are espionage tools, state-sponsored attacks, and highly professional criminal applications. So we will say that speaking about the espionage tools, the most of them, they speak native English, then native Russian and simplified Chinese. If we speak about the highly complicated criminal attacks, most of them they speak Russian, and that's true. And you can learn more about the APTs at a URL at the bottom right side of this slide. Okay, so how to protect from this kind of the attacks? Actually, the traditional endpoint security, it's not enough. And we need to use a special anti-APT solutions, the network and endpoint security against the targeted attacks. Unfortunately, I don't have enough of time, but if you want to learn more about these products and these technologies, which detect the malicious or suspicious activities at the endpoints in the networks, which collect this information, process it, and make the decision that the network is under attack, you can learn it at the URL at the bottom line of this slide. Protection from APTs is more complicated. So it's a combination of prevention, it's traditional cybersecurity, detection, detecting that you are under attack, monitoring the hacker's activity, and making the decision that your network is under attack right now. Then the necessary measures to respond to the hacker's attack, like incident management, the forensics, investigation, and understanding what's going on, and then learn from this situation to get more experience, to improve your skills and predict what's the next. At the same time, for the enterprises which have the dedicated IT security teams, we have a special service that's a threat intelligence portal, which let you to analyze the malicious code yourself. You need to upload the suspicious file to this service, and we will report you everything what we know about this particular file. Do we have it in our database? What's the activity of this application? And actually, it's a really complicated but very powerful tool to analyze new targeted attacks. Well, actually, any kind of malicious code, and this is the very right tool for the cybersecurity experts. So welcome and try it yourself, and you will like it. Okay, the third type of the cyber attacks, that's attacks on industrial systems, on infrastructure and Internet of Things. Actually, according to our data and about reports from our industrial partners, industrial customers, more than 30% of them they were attacked by different kinds of malware in the first half of this year. Well, actually, most of these attacks, they're not designed to hack SCADA systems or Internet of Things, the infrastructure. But I'm afraid that cyber criminals recognized that industrial systems, they're also cyber, and it's possible to at least try to hack them. And I'm afraid very soon the cyber criminals will pay much more attention to industrial systems, not only for the individuals or office networks, but also the physical systems, the SCADA systems, and the computer networks which manage all that. And this is quite complicated to protect the physical systems from the cyber attacks, but it's possible. And the first solution which we have, that's our industrial cybersecurity. So it's combination of endpoint monitoring and network monitoring, so we can recognize the malicious activity in the industrial networks, and at the same time, this security solution they are adapted for the industrial needs. So the SCADA security has a different bit logic. Plus that we have to understand, we have to listen to the SCADA protocols. We need to be very, we have to do the very accurate work in the industrial environment, etc., etc. Actually, this solution works, and we can protect the SCADA system with this solution. But unfortunately, in many cases, their infrastructure is so critical or so expensive that any kind of security solutions based on the traditional operating systems and traditional architecture doesn't really protect you with a on a necessary level, because the damage in many cases is unpredictable. So I believe that the next step in the cybersecurity, especially for critical infrastructure and Internet of Things, it's the next generation, that's cyber immunity. And cyber immunity, it's a different platform. Actually, we can't guarantee the cyber immunity based on any traditional operating system. For cyber immunity, we need to develop the application, develop the system based on a different platform, which is specially designed for security needs. And in our operating system, in our platform, immunity platform, there's a special logic. So actually, the architecture of the system is microkernel. So every piece of the operating system and applications, they're cut in little pieces, and every part of the system has a prescribed permissions. And every piece of the system can do only the tasks which is designed for. So if you're a calculator, you can only calculate. You don't have access to the internet. If you're responsible for the turbine, you can only operate with turbine. You don't have access to the internet, not to keyboard, not to the screen, only the turbine. So actually, this is a kind of very strict permission-based system, and honestly speaking, I don't know how to hack it. So well, if we compare this immunity platform with traditional operating systems, which is, well, even if they are working in virtual machines or in a sandbox, actually it's not the same. So if the system, the traditional system, if there's just one piece of that is infected, technically it can spread this infection to any other part of the system. In our case, if there's even one module is compromised, it stays isolated. The security architecture, the immunity architecture doesn't let the infected module to affect the rest of the system. So, in a modern cyber world, we are facing three major issues. First of all, the massive global cybercrime. Second, the highly complicated targeted attacks. And third, attacks on industrial systems and Internet of Things. To respond to these attacks, we have the cybersecurity to stop cybercrime, cyber defense to stop targeted attacks, and cyber immunity for future industrial systems and Internet of Things. So we are living in very dangerous cyber world with many cybercrime, many very highly sophisticated cyber attacks, but I'm optimistic and we will survive. We can handle that and protect you from any kind of cyber attacks. So thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Eugene Kaspersky.